Mayor, the meeting is now being live streamed.
Thank you so much for that. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and start. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the March 2024-2025 6 p.m. regular joint meeting of the Bell Garden City Council and successor agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order at 6:12 p.m. Members of the council, members of the public may view and listen to the meeting online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any members of the council should have a conflict of interest, please announce any items you are recusing yourself from prior to the item being heard. Tonight's invocation will be given by Minister Daniel Anguino, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Girl Scouts Troop 2543, Carmon Vargas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. Let us bow our heads as we come before God in this evening. Heavenly Father, God, I just thank you for this opportunity that you allow all of us to be here in this night. I just pray, Father, that you may guide, Lord, our mayor, our city council members, Lord Father, and I bless the work of their hands, that you may prosper them, everything that they oversee. I pray, Father, for our community, for every citizen, Lord, that we may live at peace, Father God, as it is your will. And I pray for those who watch over us, for those who bear the sword, for our chief of police, that you may protect them, Father God, as they watch over us, that we may live at peace and safety in our community. We thank you this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Please stand. Face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated.
Thank you for that. City Clerk, please call roll the City Council successor agency.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcena.
Present.
Councilwoman Guillen.
Present.
Councilwoman Sanchez.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa.
Present.
And Mayor Chavez.
Present. Thank you for that. We will now move on to presentations. City Manager, please announce your presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Chavez. The first item is recognizing Arts, Culture, and Creativity Advocacy Month for the month of April. I'll turn it over to Councilmember Barcena to read the proclamation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, and thank you, Mayor. If I can call, puedo por favor pedirles a los miembros de la comunidad de artistas BG Arts que si pueden pasar al frente. Elva, Lucía y cualquier otra persona. Oh, Nancy también está aquí presente. Elva, right there. En medio, sí. Gracias. So today I have this proclamation by the City of Bell Gardens. A proclamation in honor of Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, April 2025. Whereas Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month of April is the 6th annual statewide celebration first established by the California Legislature in 2019. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens believes that arts, culture, and creativity are essential to our thriving community. And whereas arts inspire discovery, lifelong learning, and joy. And whereas culture creates connections, encourages understanding, and strengthens community. And whereas creativity sparks innovation, growth, and positive change. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens and the City Council and staff lead efforts to advance the arts through programs, partnerships, and community building initiatives. And whereas the City of Bell Gardens values partnerships with residents and local, county, and state level arts organizations. And whereas this collective work at the local level and throughout the state encourages racial equity, uplifts our community, and changes our lives for the better. Therefore, on this 24th day of March 2025, the City of Bell Gardens hereby proclaims April 2025 as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month and encourages everyone to join the celebration. I'll go ahead and open it up to my colleagues if they have any words. And if
I just want to thank you guys for continuing to bring art into our community. It's something that's really important, especially for our youth. So the fact that you guys offer so many programs, especially with BG Arts, that a lot of people are involved in. So thank you so much for all the wonderful things you do for our community.
Likewise, want to echo the same sentiments and at the same time also thank Councilmember Barcena for consistently bringing the arts to the forefront for our city. You know, with the creation of BG Arts and community members like yourselves, I mean, it really speaks volumes. The fact that we have an arts program here, I know in Veterans Park we've designated an art space, and again, always want you to know that on behalf of the Bell Garden City Council, we're always going to be here to support our arts programs, and it's people like you that consistently push the agenda with arts. So again, thank you so much. Let's not only recognize them in this month and this week, but consistently throughout the year. Thank you.
Al igual, quiero recalcar el trabajo de mi compañero Marco, porque sé que aquí en nuestra comunidad él es el pionero del arte, le encanta y nos los ha compartido a nosotros, y me da gusto que ustedes también puedan disfrutar de ello, no solo en este mes, pero ojalá todo el año, como menciona nuestro alcalde. Gracias.
Sí, quiero también reconocer el gran trabajo que ha hecho nuestro compañero Marco Bárcena. He visto la programación del grupo BG Arts y es fenomenal. O sea, cubren varios rangos de varios tipos de arte, varias formas de expresión y varias formas de practicar esa creatividad, ¿no? Así que es muy hermoso ver todo eso, ver la gente congregarse y disfrutar del arte es algo muy maravilloso. Así que felicidades y sí, hay que seguir moviendo el arte para adelante. Gracias.
And I want to say a few words before I open it up for you guys. Elva, I want to thank you. For those of you that don't know, Elva is the one leading the mindfulness at the park, and they do mindfulness sessions with sounds, and it's a very creative experience. You guys can connect with her if you're interested in that. We have Lucia Veloz, who started the Art and Yard Sale, which is a community, like a flea market type of thing, but with the art component. Alondra was one of the first people that created murals here in the city of Bell Gardens, so we're very proud of her. And Nancy has been just an overall supporter of our community. Thank you, Nancy. And by the way, Nancy was also the Woman of the Year in our district for Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco. So congratulations, Nancy. And I also want to take this opportunity to talk about the council, because the council, I'm very lucky to have my colleagues here. They're all very creative. They appreciate the arts, and I'm very, very grateful for all that you do, all the support that you provide our residents. And last but not least, I want to thank staff. I want to thank the Director of Recreation and Community Services. Liz, thank you for always being supportive of our residents in their pursuit of creativity and expression, and also to the city manager. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. And I think we're going to take a picture now. All right. And ¿tienen algunas palabras ustedes, algo que decir?
Solo gracias. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Sigan apoyando el arte, los jóvenes, que esta ciudad sea un mural y un ejemplo para las demás ciudades. Creo que Belgarden lo está haciendo.
Okay.
Ay. Ya me oyeron. No, thank you so much.
All I could say is thank you. This is a beautiful community. I moved here 6 years ago, and
All I could say is thank you so much for the support. And I moved to Bell Garden 6 years ago, and I have never seen a community that's so united and comes together for the children and for the elders, and I feel so blessed to be here, so just thank you for that.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a picture now. Mayor, if I may, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge a very special person that is here also today. She's a Bell Gardens resident. Her name is DJ Irene. For those of you that know DJ Irene, she's an amazing DJ, and she happens to be our resident. So thank you for coming to our meeting, DJ Irene.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Councilmember Barcena, and what a great way to start a council meeting. Next, we have I'll pass it on to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Chavez. The next item is a certificate of recognition for the Bell Gardens High School girls volleyball team. I can just share, Mayor, before turning over, the council's been really excited about recognizing this team for the last couple of months. So happy to see that's here and you guys are in the audience. Thank you, Mayor. I think it was in December, yeah.
2024, 2025, March 24, 2025. We're almost there to 4 months into the year, but we finally made it, right? I turned off the mic and I said I didn't expect that to clap, but we're good. It's always interesting when we bring on teams because there's so many of you, and absolutely this is an incredible opportunity to recognize our very own high school students. We're going to begin with the coaches, and I have some certificates here that I want to read. Essentially, the certificate, they all say the same thing, just obviously with your name on it. So I want to recognize the coaches first. City of Bell Gardens Certificate of Recognition honoring Jessica Yanes, Bell Gardens High School Girls Volleyball Team Assistant Coach. And it states, the Bell Gardens City Council is honored to recognize and congratulate your team's achievement as 2024 CIF Southern Section Champions, Regional Champions, and State Finalists. We are proud of your leadership, commitment, dedication, and mentorship to all your players. Congratulations on your tremendous season. Go Lancers, signed Jorge Chavez, Mayor, bless you. Jorge Chavez, Mayor, Bell Gardens City Council, this May 24th, 2025. And then along with that, we also have Samuel Sanchez, who's Bell Gardens High School Girls Volleyball Team Assistant Coach. And then we also have Caleb Ortiz, Bell Gardens High School Girls Volleyball Team Head Coach. So I want to take the opportunity and invite Caleb, Samuel, and Jessica, if they're present, to come to the podium, and they'll be, I'll give them the opportunity to kind of share, or if they want to express any. Let's give it up for the coaches.
First of all, I wasn't expecting this, but I'll just go. Thank you guys for having us here tonight, especially all of you guys. The girls work so hard, and they deserve all the credit. They're the ones that play and practice every single day. I mean, tournaments, we were there in the mornings, nights, I mean, you name it, we were there. And just the whole experience of winning CIF, regional, and going to the state championship, amazing memories. I'm pretty sure they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. I do want to thank all of you guys for really doing this for them. Like I said, they deserve all the credit. Thanks to our coaches. They did an amazing job pushing them and guiding them to be where they're at now. We're actually finishing beach volleyball season. This is our third season, and we're going to win our first league championship this season too, with the same girls. So thank you guys for that. I actually really want to thank Frances for an amazing donation that she gave the team, especially with the girls that we have at our school. Like I said, they deserve it, and more if we can. Other than that, I mean, that's all I got for you guys right now. Anything? You guys are good? That's it. We're good.
Assistant coaches, anything?
They're shy. Go for it.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I grew up here in Bell Gardens. I went to Bell Gardens High School. This is actually my second year coaching, actually, because, I just graduated in 2023. So, it's funny to me because, in a way, when I was a senior, they were, freshmen or sophomores in high school. So, it's just kind of crazy for me to come back and then, do something as crazy as that was. I mean, it was a great experience. I mean, especially it being, my second year. It was my first year coaching girls, too. So, it was just an amazing experience, and I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. Caleb and Jess, they were both my coaches in high school. So, the girls, I have, personal relationships with most of them. So, I want to thank you guys for the support. And, yeah, go BG.
I just want to say thank you for your support. It's an honor to the girls and us for this moment. Girls, I just want to say congratulations again. I don't know if you guys know, but this is Caleb's 20th year coaching at Bell Gardens. So you guys made him really proud, and this is a big moment for not only you, but him as well, because on his 20th anniversary, you guys gave him a CIF championship and a state finalist position. Same thing, I went to Bell Gardens High School. I graduated in 2018, and I've been coaching with Caleb since then, so it's been a nice little ride. And in my time, a lot of these girls came from my freshman team when I first started coaching, so it's an honor to be able to say that we did this year. And thank you again.
Thank you for that, coaches. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, the students, right? The champions representing BG. Each of you is getting a certificate from the city. I'm planning on, for the coaches, I'm gonna go ahead and give this to the head coach and then have him distribute the certificates, because some of you may be here, maybe couldn't make it. And then if you didn't make it, well, hopefully, we can get that certificate to you. But I do want to go ahead and at least read off the names for those that are present. And might as well just also, I think these are your numbers that you wear when you're actually playing. So to begin, we have Esmeralda Arana Calderon, who's a senior, who's number 7, if you can give it up. Neilin Ariaga, senior, number 5. Sarai Bailon, sophomore, number 1. Admari Carrillo, sophomore, number 8. Maggie Chariz, senior, number 10. Sadie Gomez, junior, number 13. Emily Hernandez, senior, number 6. Mia Mendoza, senior, number 21. Melia Mendoza Nava, senior, number 9. Leia Morales, junior, 23. Haley Ola, junior, 23. Chelsea Renteria, senior, number 12. And then we got the final 2, Jennifer Tarula, senior, number 14. And last but not least, Karina Toro, senior, number 15. Alrighty. And with that said, I want to invite all the team to come up here along with the coaches. I'll give this to Coach Galib, and then he'll go ahead and distribute it after. Make sure that after the picture, nobody leaves. We're going to go ahead and have comments afterwards. All right, everybody. I want to open it up for comments from the council.
I just want go ahead. I just want to say congratulations once again. I had the pleasure of attending your last game. And I know that the grit, the heart, everything, you put it out there on the court. But what I do want to say is the sportsmanship that you guys displayed that day. It was such a difficult game. Obviously, we didn't get the outcome we wanted of you guys winning, but the sportsmanship was phenomenal from you guys at the end. The fact that you guys left that place with grace, knowing that you gave it your all. I was just in awe of you guys that night. So congratulations once again, because you did make history for Bell Gardens High School. So any way I can support you, please reach out to me. Thank you.
I just want to say that I appreciate the example that you guys are setting for the younger students that are looking up to you, and they're seeing that you can accomplish so much, right? Let's say that CIF was not even in the picture. Let's say that you guys were just doing small games, and even then, it's such a great example that you set by being athletes in your community. But in reality, you're also excelling at it. So you guys should be very, very proud of yourselves, and continue to do that throughout your careers, throughout high school and then beyond. Set an example for your community, because you guys can make a big, big difference. And we're very proud of you. Congratulations.
First off, congratulations. We're not only celebrating your athletic talent, but also that dedication, that discipline, that teamwork that it took to get you where you guys are right now. And, you've made your city proud, and again, congratulations.
I'll highlight congratulations. This is an amazing accomplishment. And as my colleague said, this goes far beyond the sportsmanship. It goes beyond the sport itself. I hope you guys realize that this speaks on your resilience, your discipline, your consistency. So take that wherever you go. You all ladies are beautiful, inside and out, and always remember that.
Finally, I just want to say thank you so much for representing Bell Gardens. It's truly an honor to have such a successful team, especially the girls volleyball team, right? I think it was last year, the year before that. The football team also had a really exciting year, and they made it for the first time as well to win CIF. And just really an exciting time to be proud and represent, have that BG pride. It's a funny little short anecdote. I only played one sport throughout my high school career. Like, I officially was part of the team, which was volleyball. I was in the boys volleyball team, and it's tough being part of a team, because your day usually ends from school like at 2:48. I think that was the time that it was dismissal. But if you're gonna practice, you stay all the way till 5 or 6. At the time, the coach was Coach Silva, Richard Silva, and he's very tall, and he's still active in our recreation program, and he coaches some of the programs here. It's not easy, the amount of work and commitment that you have. So just again, really appreciate all the work that you've done. And speaking, I feel comfortable speaking on behalf of the council that all of us here were athletes in high school, right? I know Councilmember Barcena was a swimmer. He played with the water polo team. Councilwoman Sanchez was a basketball player. She was in the girls basketball team. I was in the volleyball team. Vice Mayor De La Rosa was in the soccer team. And then Councilwoman Guillen was in the basketball team, right? So again, really, there's just a lot of pride here for the athletics. I remember being in high school and thinking like, oh, the AAA assembly, right? It was the arts, academics, and the athletics. It seems a little cheesy, but like really, BG is behind you. Know that you're representing Bell Gardens not only on and off the courts, but also in academics and in the arts side. And I noticed that also some of you are seniors, and you're going to probably be departing to whether that be a four-year university or the armed forces or going into a career. Always know that Bell Gardens is here behind you, supporting you, and if there's anything we can ever be, Bell Gardens will always be your home. So thank you again for representing Bell Gardens, and just congratulations, and definitely soak this up. Thank you. All right, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Chavez. The final item is a certificate of recognition for local business, Delicias de Mexico, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, City Manager. I would like to call up Mr. Jaime Alvarez, that's present here from Delicias de Mexico. Where do I start with Delicias de Mexico? Una comida tan sabrosa con el ceviche that you can't go wrong with it. But continuing on with recognitions of every council meeting, this recognition is honoring Delicias de Mexico. The Bell Garden City Council is proud to recognize The Bell Garden City Council is proud to recognize Delicias de Mexico for outstanding success. We congratulate you on creating a thriving business, offering a welcoming atmosphere, and serving delicious, authentic dishes. We wish you continued success and prosperity for many years ahead. Signed, Jorge Chavez, Mayor of the Bell Garden City Council, this March 24th, 2025. And with that said, Mr. Jaime Alvarez.
Thank you for everything. Oh, ya ves.
Ponga nervioso.
Ya ves, ¿ah?
Aquí estamos en familia todos.
¿Verdad? Primero quiero darle gracias a Dios, a ustedes, a los city councils, al alcalde, a mi familia que está aquí presente, a mi esposa, a mis niños, a toda la comunidad de Bell Gardens. Son 10 años que tenemos en Bell Gardens y gracias a Dios nos ha ido muy bien. No nos podemos quejar. It has been tough times, good times, but thanks to God, we're still here. We still do business in Bell Gardens, and I hope it's going to be for a long time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Antes de tomarnos una foto, quiero abrirlo para the rest of the council members to also have to discuss or if they want to give any comment as well.
Pues muchas gracias por ser parte de la comunidad de los negocios, de los restaurantes aquí en la ciudad. Y pues por ahí yo voy a pasar a echarme un taco uno de estos días porque hace falta ya.
Os hemos visto, no sé.
Ok, ya me puso, ya me balconeó. Okay. No, pero gracias por traer la comida que es excelente aquí a la comunidad. A todos aquí en la ciudad les gusta. Y nomás falto yo porque yo no he ido. Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias, igualmente. 10 años es mucho tiempo para estar aquí en negocio y sé que es difícil a veces, pero ustedes tienen un servicio, una comida deliciosa y por eso todavía siguen aquí en la comunidad y espero que sigan muchos más años también. Gracias.
Felicidades, Jaime. 10 años pasan de volada y, ¿verdad? Y muchos años más, ¿verdad? Que faltan. El nombre lo dice todo, ¿no? En realidad son toda una delicia, todo el menú que tiene, o sea, es fenomenal. Yo personalmente he probado el ceviche, me encantó muchísimo y también la otra vez, ¿qué eran? Tacos de birria, ¿no?
El martes especial, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Yo sí sé los especiales.
Sí, sí sabe. Sí, pero de nuevo felicidades y esperamos verlo por muchos años más.
Muchas gracias.
Pues Jaime, gracias por su hospitalidad, por estar aquí en nuestra comunidad. Hace 10 años yo empecé a ir a Delicias, de chiquita, y luego ya aquí estamos. Mi platillo favorito, ceviche estilo Delicias y un taco de pescado estilo Baja. Muy rico.
Thank you.
Acabo de comer, por cierto. Pero gracias por todo. Esperamos tenerlo aquí por muchos, muchos años más.
Pero de nuevo, muchas gracias y pues a seguirle echándole ganas y ya sabe que aquí de parte de nosotros aquí estamos para apoyarlo. Okay, ahora sí nos podemos reunir, nos tomamos una foto. Gracias. Y si quiere puede invitar a su familia también. Thank you so much for that. And again, what a great way to start this meeting. We're going to move on to the next item, continuing public hearing. We will now begin with item 6.1 at this time. I will reopen the public hearing at 6:47 p.m. City Manager, please introduce the next item.
Yes, thanks again, Mayor Chavez. This item is a consideration of ordinance number 952 to authorize a development agreement by and between the City of Bell Gardens, Flora Hospitality Group, LLC, and James N. Tate III Trust relating to the property located at 6638 Eastern Avenue in the City of Bell Gardens, commonly known as Mecca. With that, I will turn it over to our interim Community Development Director, John Ramirez, to introduce the presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Tonight, Mona Mosayeb, our acting city planner for the city, will be making this presentation. And the applicant for this business is also joining us via Zoom. You'll see here at the top of your screens, her name is Noelle. So just so you know that she's there. Thank you. Mona?
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and honorable council members. For the record, my name is Mona Mosayeb, acting city planner, and this presentation is to discuss the proposed development agreement and conditional use permit number 2024-048 for a Mecca retail cannabis use storefront proposed at the location of 6638 Eastern Avenue. A development agreement must be approved and adopted by ordinance. Next slide, please. During this presentation, your council will hear how City Council's legislative action on this development agreement ordinance could facilitate the orderly development, promote shared goals and vision, provide community benefits, and reduce economic risks for all stakeholders. The applicant, Noelle France, representing Flora Hospitality Group LLC, is requesting the council, 1, waive full reading of ordinance number 952, 2, authorize the city to enter into and execute a development agreement for cannabis retail use in exchange for public benefits. Next slide, please. As you may recall from the March 10th presentation, Mecca proposes the development of a 1,588 square foot cannabis retail storefront with 2,194 square feet of back-end space. Improvements include 6 new parking spaces with 1 dedicated Americans with Disability Act parking space, 1 dedicated loading space, 2 electric vehicle charging capable spaces, and 16 bicycle spaces with access from Lubeck Street. Next slide, please. The location is within the mixed-use zone and within a mixed-use general plan land use designation. The 6,286 square foot property is adequate in size, shape, and topography to accommodate the proposed use, since the zone conditionally permits the use and the surrounding properties are of similar commercial use and within the same zone. Next slide, please. On February 19th, 2025, the Planning Commission approved a conditional use permit to authorize a 1,588 square foot cannabis retail use storefront with a 2,194 back-end square foot within a 3,782 square foot commercial structure with proposed tenant and site improvements. After independent analysis, a duly noticed public hearing, and receiving public testimony, the Commission voted 3-1-1 to recommend the approval of the DA. And on March 10th, 2025, at the regularly scheduled City Council meeting, staff made a presentation regarding the proposed development agreement, followed by a presentation by the project applicant. The City Council deliberated the item materials, presentations, and directed staff to revise the ordinance to require the applicant and property owner to effectuate the development agreement within 60 days after the ordinance becomes effective, and continued the hearing by a 3-0 vote, and continued the public hearing until the next regularly scheduled City Council meeting. All other DA terms remain the same. ordinance before you has been amended to include language regarding a 60-day period to effectuate the development agreement from the effective date of ordinance number 952, with all other terms to remain the same. If the ordinance is adopted, the development agreement would vest the applicant's rights for an initial 5-year term, with an option to extend the agreement for a total of up to 10 years. In return, the applicant would contribute an annual community benefit upon the effective date of the DA of $100,000 and renew the annual commitment benefit every January, and a quarterly community benefit rate equal to 7% of gross receipts once operations have commenced. This evening, your council heard how introduction of legislative action on this development agreement ordinance could facilitate the orderly development, since conditions of approval for the use address concerns, community benefit funding promotes shared goals and a vision through the implementation of youth and education and housing programs. And economic risk for all stakeholders is reduced, since the timing of vested development rights is tied to annual and quarterly application disbursements. Staff recommends the council waive full reading and introduce the ordinance. Next slide, please. This concludes my presentation. Staff, city attorney, and applicant are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate the presentation. Moving on to the next item, does the applicant wish to speak?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you again for your consideration, and I'm excited to get open, and I'm excited to join the community.
Okay. Moving on to the next portion, we will now move to council member questions or comments. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
I do. So I don't know if my colleagues saw the planning commission that just happened, how one of the applicants suggested he give community benefits. I don't know if this applicant in particular that's something that she's willing to partake on. I know the applicant I'm speaking about is donating to the pool, scholarships for our students, as well as, which one am I missing, Mike?
John, you want to help with that one on the detail?
Sure. Thank you, Councilwoman. The applicant at the Planning Commission meeting that we had last week, they, as part of their revised proposal, they included a scholarship donation to, I think the implementation will be through our Education Commission, and that would be for $25,000 a year. And then they also proposed $8,000 donation to the some of the, I don't know if it's going to be a local Little League or sports teams. We haven't figured out the implementation on that particular one yet. And then also $6,000 to help offset the cost to families for swim lessons. Or was it switched? Maybe it was $6,000 for sports teams and $8,000 for the sports team. So it would be participating in to the benefit of basically the youth of the community for those three items. Those were the main additional community benefits that were proposed at that meeting.
Thank you. So highlighting, you said it's for the benefit of the youth. If we are going to see our cannabis come into our community, I would like to, besides the implementation of the 100,000 and 7%, our youth should benefit off of it. If that would be, I don't know if the applicant is willing to donate as well, or if we're looking to, I don't know, I would like to hear my colleagues on that aspect.
Thank you for that, Councilwoman Guillen. I'll open it up for discussion, but before we even continue on, and this is more a question for, I think it'd probably be Attorney McAvoy in regards to what Councilwoman Guillen is referring to is going back, requesting the changes on the agreement, and then it'll probably have to continue again to the next count. Can you correct if?
Yes, Paloma McAvoy with the City Attorney's Office, that's correct. In terms of procedure, if the council did move to revise the development agreement, the changes are pretty substantive, so we would need to bring the ordinance back for another reading. Just for everyone's edification, all of the development agreements that have been approved so far also include a annual payment of $100,000 and then the quarterly community benefits as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Anybody?
Just have a follow-up question
Absolutely.
to Ms. Guillen's comment. Was that something that a commissioner asked for at the commissioner meeting, or somebody came forward with a offer? Oh, okay, got it. Just for clarification, I understand that. Thank you.
I'm not. I didn't watch the meeting of the Planning Commission. I'm curious to know I know that you meant. I know Director, Community Development Director. I know you mentioned some of the key points, but can you just briefly update us as far as if, aside from those key points that were discussed about a contribution of $25,000 for a scholarship, and then I believe $6,000 or $8,000 for swim lessons?
It was $6,000 for youth sports programs, and then $8,000 for specifically for programming for swim lessons at the aquatic center to subsidize the costs.
I just wonder, Mayor, if maybe if I ask our city attorney here, just because she was at the previous planning commission prior, as opposed to our interim was not, if maybe if we could refresh the council's memory on what happened at the first planning commission, why it came back to the second planning commission, and why potentially there was additional community benefits offered at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the February planning commission meeting, there was an applicant that was considered because of the proposed location, proximity to both the high school and the elementary school. The planning commissioners expressed a concern about the proximity to the schools and the lack of security, specifically the lack of security present during evening hours. And so the Planning Commission directed staff to come back with a resolution that would deny the CUP. By the denial of the CUP, we would also no longer have a development agreement because there is no entitlement to vest. Here, the entitlement to vest is the CUP. We came back in March. And during that presentation, the project applicant volunteered to have a security guard present during nighttime hours, so there would be 24/7 security. There would be 2 security guards present between the hours of 1 to 5, trying to address the issues of exposure to minors during the afternoon hours. And then they also shortened the hours of operation from 9 p.m. or from 10 p.m. to 9 p.m. So they proposed hours of 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. as opposed to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then in addition, the applicant also offered the 3 community benefits that we're discussing here tonight. At the end of the meeting, we were instructed by the PC, and I think it was a similar vote, I think it was a 302 vote or 320 vote, to come back with a development agreement that included those provisions that we just mentioned, as well as the added security measures and the shortened hours of operation.
And could you clarify from all those what is going for the CUP and what's going to the DA?
Certainly. So in terms of what's going into the CUP will have the hours of operation as well as the security, the changes to the security plan. The conditions of approval in the CUP, as well as the security plan, the odor mitigation plan, both of those are actually incorporated into the development agreement terms. So if an operator is not abiding by those development agreement terms, inclusive of the conditions of approval, they are at risk of having their DA modified or terminated if the city does take action. Just to be clear, any action that the city may want to take to enforce those conditions is typically a longer process, which would be before the Planning Commission and before you all as well, just to kind of give you a sense of the administrative process if this were to something that this council wants to entertain sometime in the future.
Thank you for that clarification. Any members of the council have any questions or comments or clarifications?
I just have a comment. I know that with this applicant that we're talking about right now, Mecca, we didn't have any issues regarding operation hours, location, or security. I think that was very thorough. The one thing that I did ask for and why we're brought back here today was that the DA be signed within 60 days. And so that's my only concern at this time. So I do want to ask the applicant, are you okay with the 60-day deadline?
100%.
Thank you.
Got it. Quick question for legal. You know, one of the things we pointed out in the last council meeting was this new provision that we're adding about sort of a time limit, right? A ticking timer. And I want to, you know, first and foremost, thank Councilwoman De Leon Sanchez for bringing this point up. And now that we're here, I'm curious for the item that is still going to be in process to go back for another reading in the Planning Commission. Is that provision also included, the 60 days?
So as of right now, that provision is not before the Planning Commission, and that's because both of these applicants went to the Planning Commission at the same time. Mecca moved forward, and your council implemented that provision. Zen Garden is still at PC level, and so that provision, staff doesn't take once the ordinance is before the Planning Commission or the City Council, staff no longer touches it. We act at your direction. So we haven't gotten that direction yet, and it's just one of those funny things about timing in which these things move forward. However, with your direction, we can definitely implement that with any future agreements, and we'll have the opportunity to do so, similar to what we did with the community benefit schedule when we brought it down from 10 to 7%.
Understood. Yeah, I think, you know, for the next applicant or for the foreseeable applicants, I think it would make sense to put that time constraint because it has been frustrating for the council and I mean, I know the city manager and we've discussed in regards to finances and what's to come, and you know, it seems to be getting better at a month-to-month basis, but still planning ahead, we want to make sure that we have as much, the time is on our side, right? And unfortunately, with the previous DAs, we haven't had that, right? I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, to this day, we've only had one DA that's actually been executed, with 3 of them still pending, not yet signed.
Yes, only one applicant has effectuated the DA so far. The rest have not.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to make any comments or questions?
I would just ask procedurally if that direction is given, it's given separate from this public hearing because it's public hearing specific to Mecca.
Yeah, to the topic of providing scholarships, I know the other applicant had certain context in their application that doesn't necessarily apply to this current applicant, but my question to the applicant is, would you be willing to provide support to our youth in that regard? And we'd be happy to listen to your input.
100%. You know, I'm a mom as well, so of course I support youth programs, and I'd be happy to do so.
How would that look? Because, I mean, for the future, for you to be able to come back and be able to follow through with that.
You know, I'm not used to donating to youth programs, being in cannabis, or them, you know, accepting my donation. But I'm open. I'm open to what you suggest, or if someone suggests, you know, approaches us as well, I'm open to it. I just haven't thought about it. But I love Bell Gardens. I love the community, so I'm here to support.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to take a point of privilege, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure probably the applicant already knows, we have an aquatic center we're building. It is a $32 million project. We have about $16, $15 million that's already been funded through grants, and we're looking for another 13 to 14 million. And I wanted to request if you could donate $14 million to our city so we can build this aquatic center. If you can't commit to the full amount, what can you commit to?
Well, I would love to. Let me get open first so we could start generating some revenue.
I mean, it's laughable, but it is the reality. We do have an aquatic center opening up. We do have another applicant that has already pledged, and their DA will have that or CUP, that provision that they will be donating. So while it is laughable, it is a reality. And I mean, no, everybody's aware that I'm against opening any type of dispensary in our community. But I know it will happen. Most of our council members will want it to come through. Stakeholders want it to come through. So dispensaries are going to be here, and I would like to be that advocate for our community, for it to come in the right way. So thank you.
My apologies. I was having. We were discussing about the pattern, the process moving forward. Yeah. So if we were to make any changes, whatever we discuss moving forward, and if the applicant were to agree to it, it'd probably be best if we just give direction back to legal. Then they clarify exactly what's going to be in terms of the community benefits, and then this will probably be continued public hearing, and then we'll bring it back to an item. City manager, I don't know.
I would just say, just from a comment perspective, and this is just my own opinion as the city manager. So we have an applicant that seems to be earnest, that's agreed to a 60-day time frame. The dollar amounts that we're talking about are significant. The sooner they get started, the sooner they get up and running, the better. And I guess I would just caution the council from the perspective of applicants that are still find themselves in the planning commission process. There could be additional things that they offer if things don't look like they're going good for them in the planning commission. And at this point, we brought this candidate back with an item that wasn't requested from the previous 4 development agreements that we're requesting of this one that they've accepted. This could go on and on as we bring new applicants to the planning commission that make additional concessions or potentially additional community benefits based on specifics of their location or concerns that the planning commission have. So that would be the caution that I have is, from the city manager perspective, being appreciative of businesses that want to come into the city of Bell Gardens, that are earnest about moving forward and honoring their commitments and accepting concessions that weren't originally there. Just that there would be a concern potentially, if I were the applicant, that this could become sort of a, you could come back 3 or 4 times as the planning commission moves on with applicants. That'd be the only cautionary tale.
And I just want to state that it's kind of unfair at this point. I know that the applicant's been more than cooperative with the city of everything that's been asked, with also the planning commission. So to keep going back and forth with different applicants as to what more benefit can we get, I just find it unfair. And so, I want to see our city thrive. I want to be able to give public benefit to our community as much as possible. But I know with, the vendors that we're getting coming into our city, they are honest. They have shown in the past that they have contributed to the different communities that they're already part of. So I know that Mecca, even though, yes, we may not have it within our DA, they are going to contribute, regardless of not only the 100,000, the 7% tax, but also additional to our youth. So I'm just going to comment that.
Anybody else want to make a comment? I think we're still in the portion of council member questions or comments. So after this, we're going to open it back to the public. And then we close the public hearing, and then that's when we'll have the official motions.
While it is I guess unfair, in your point of view, I think this is why we have these discussions, in order to be able to air all of this out and be able to reach an agreement or a consensus for the betterment of our community. If the betterment of our community means for our youth to be enhanced in one way or another, whether that's our pool, again, that's going to be our biggest challenge. We've already discussed this a lot, so I'm putting that out there as well.
All right. Nobody else wants to make a comment or question? We can go ahead and move on to public participation. All right. We will now open public comments for this item. I will call 3 speakers at a time. Please make your way to the podium to line up. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on public hearing item 6.1 as listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We didn't receive any written communication, and we didn't receive any public comment cards.
Thank you for that. There's no further council member comments or questions or comments. Making sure. Okay. I will now close public hearing at 7:12 p.m. and I will close public participation at 7:12 p.m. And if there's now we'll go back to council member comments or questions. All right. And I'll close the public hearing now officially at 7:12 p.m. All right, we're in the motion segment. If any member of the council has any, wants to make a motion, this is the opportunity.
Motion to revise the DA with the provisions that we spoke about. It would be about with the pool and getting that.
You're giving direction for the city attorney, city manager, and director of community development to renegotiate the terms of the community benefits?
Correct.
Making a motion to proceed forward with full reading and introduction ordinance number 952 by title only to approve the proposed DA number 2024-048 for Cannabis Realtors storefront at 6638 Eastern Avenue.
So we'll take the second motion first. Can I get a second on the second motion?
Second the second motion.
We'll do roll call.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Barcena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillen?
No.
Councilwoman Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa?
Yes.
And Mayor Chavez?
That'll be a no for me as well.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you for that. We will now move on to public participation on non-agenda items. City Clerk, please announce instructions for non-agenda item public participation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, subject to an overall 30-minute period. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will first hear from speakers that are in person, and we did not receive any written communication.
Thank you for that, City Clerk. I'd like to call up Mr. Lee Squire.
Do my best to keep, I'll do my best to keep it within 3 minutes. Lee Squire, Vietnam era veteran, U.S. Army, death before dishonor, Mayor and City Council. Welcome home. National Vietnam War Veterans Day, March 29th, 2025. 2025 is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. Death before dishonor means I shall die before I bring dishonor upon America and upon my military and its veterans. We swore that we who survived would be the voice of those who did not return from Vietnam. 58,479 brothers and sisters never returned from Vietnam. I now present to the office of mayor, it is the soldier, and this has a direct tie to the era of the Vietnam War. I also have provided a rose for each of you council members, and I ask that you place at the base of your American flag in front of the City Hall once this council meeting is over. I will now read, it is the soldier. It is the soldier, not the minister, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the soldier and not the reporter who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us freedom to protest. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the soldier, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protesters to burn the flag. Charles M. Province. God bless America. God bless the nation of Israel. God bless my military, veterans, and their families. And God bless all of those of the Vietnam veterans who live in the city of Bell Gardens. Thank you.
I think you can, there you go. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. All right, City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation for items listed on the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining through Zoom may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber, and we did not receive any written communication.
I'd like to call up Richard Jardman.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Richard Jarman. I am the pastor of Touchpoint Church. We've been serving the community of Bell Gardens for the last 86 years, and we proudly continue to do so. 2 weeks ago, I came here to just make the City Council aware of the tragic, horrendous events that have been going on at Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall, where the parole officers that were there and their supervisors were organizing gladiator-style fights amongst the children who were incarcerated there. So far, 22 of those officers have been arraigned, and more are going to be arraigned. And I asked you last time if you would denounce formally the abuse, the horrendous abuse that's been going on there, and call for reform. And I was very glad to see on the agenda for tonight is a declaration denouncing this terrible abuse of our incarcerated kids. It should never happen. It's dehumanizing, it's brutal, it should never happen to anybody, let alone our children, many of whom were younger than the young high school students that we saw this evening. So thank you for taking up this declaration. I hope that you will pass it. And I want to ask for 2 things quickly. One, that we don't let this die. That we don't let this declaration, this resolution, be the last time we talk about the abuse and the last time we ask for a reform at Los Padrinos. That we keep going, keep putting pressure on those in power, so that we might see justice served. Second thing I would like to ask is that not only would this resolution be something that is passed by the City Council, but that we see our Chief of Police and our law enforcement for the city to also step forward and say that this is not allowed. This is not a part of who we are. That we don't dehumanize and brutalize children. Because when one of us is being dehumanized, all of us are dehumanized. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'd like to call up Mario Beltran.
Hi, good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Mario Beltran. I live at 7936 Garfield Avenue, and I want to first welcome you, Councilwoman Guillen, to the Bell Gardens City Council. Thank you for obviously taking the challenge of leadership, running for office, and representing us up here. I know it's not easy, it's a lot of work, but we appreciate your commitment to public service. Same goes to you, Councilmember De La Rosa. Thank you for taking that same challenge. Thank you for being here. Congratulations, Councilwoman Sanchez de Leon, on your accomplishment. Happy to call you doctor. I know it's been a long journey, a lot of work, but the investment that each one of you makes in your own professional development benefits all of us. It better equips you to handle the difficult issues that come in front of you. So thank you for doing all that. Thank you also for taking this issue under consideration. Harming minors is obviously a major moral violation, especially when that violation is at the hands of people that are supposed to be caring for them, guiding them, protecting them, keeping them safe. I think the abuse that we're seeing described in the reports, in the criminal charges filed against those probation officers, make it very clear that there's a lot of room for improvement in that department. I believe the city that I live in taking a formal step to express that concern, it's very important. Yes, we appreciate all the hard work that you do to bring us beautiful projects, public services that we use on a daily basis. But just as I shared when I came to speak in front of you in regards to the peace or ceasefire resolution that you guys passed, there are moments to take steps on issues that go past the city boundaries, and this is one of them. So I respectfully request your support for the resolution condemning the abuse at the probation department, and also including this resolution, or I actually appreciate the fact that you include your commitment to continue fighting for our youth and creating better conditions for them in our city. So thank you.
Thank you for that. I'd like to call up Gabriela Gomez.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and council members, and city staff, and everyone here. It's great to see you again. I am so happy that Marco brought this to my attention, that we were going to be having a resolution on the agenda tonight about this issue. I too am here to express my outrage and heartbreak at what has happened at Los Padrinos. It is beyond disgusting to know that our youth are being used as gladiators, as entertainment for the people that are supposed to be caring for them. And I am really proud that this council is taking this on as a resolution to denounce what has happened there. We also need to think about all of the conditions that allowed this to happen, the culture of secrecy that exists, a lack of oversight, and the punitive mindset that sees incarceration as a first resort rather than a last resort. I also think that it's important for us as a city to continue to make investments in our youth programs and our prevention programs, in programs that help support parents, because we have a lot of parents out here that are busy working 2 and 3 jobs sometimes, and they simply can't manage being there for their kids as much as they would like to when they're trying to manage everything else in their lives. So if there's anything at all that we can do to continue to support some of these programs that are out there, that provide parents with the support that they need to help keep our kids out of the prison pipeline. Because although our juvenile hall systems are publicly run, there are a lot of private contracts that are done with when it comes to the policing, and there's advocacy out there to turn these into private prison industries, and we don't need our kids to be commodities for the private prison industry. So as far as what we can do to help support those programs, I ask that you continue to do that. I know that there's a lot that we do within the city, but let's keep adding to that. And definitely, I'm glad that this is on the agenda tonight to denounce this, because it's just absolutely disgusting. So thank you so much for bringing this on to the agenda.
Thank you for that. If there's no objection by the members, I will close public participation. And moving on to, for the first time ever, external committee updates. Does any member of the council have anything to report for their external committees? To begin with, this is sort of an update I brought for the first time to our council. In the past, we have not had an item like this, but essentially it's for each of us to share if we had any update for our own committees that we sit on. So in the beginning of the year, in January, we do the external committee members, who's going to sit on what, right? So we sit on various committees throughout the region, right? Gateway Cities Council of Governments, SIACA, which is in charge of animal control, Hub Cities, which is like a job development board that we sit on, a SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments, Cal Cities, California League of Cities, Contract Cities, et cetera, et cetera. And aside from that time in January when we meet and we talk about it, we don't ever sort of hear about it here on the dais. So I figured it'd be important for us to engage, and sometimes we do hear about it in terms of if we ourselves want to share it. But I figured it'd be important that we actually have an item designated aside from it just being on council member comments, because by the time we get to council member comments, it probably sometimes it might even be 10 o'clock already, and we're kind of all just very tired by then. So for external committee updates, if any members of the council, I don't have any specific order, but if you sat on a board that met throughout the last month, and if you happen to share that something that happened was important, this would be an opportunity. And if not, or I can go first. And for example, I sit on Cal Cities. That's the consistently one of the boards that I attend. For Cal Cities, we met at the Commerce Casino this last week. That was Contract Cities. That was Contract Cities. Cal Cities was, it's funny because I saw Nicholas there. That's why I thought it was at Cal Cities. But for Cal Cities, we met in Torrance at SoCal Edison, and we were discussing, we met with the insurance commissioner staff, a lot of conversation about insurance throughout the state right now, especially with the wildfires. And then secondly, we had a presentation from SoCal Edison, and discussion about power lines and potentially preparing for the future. So Cal City tends to have a meeting every 2 months. So this is, if anybody else wants to share. I know I mentioned the Contract Cities one because I happen to attend that one, but I think that's Councilwoman Guillen's one that she attends consistently. But this would be an opportunity.
Well, thank you. I want to commend our mayor for bringing this topic into the agenda. I think it's very important that we all stay up to date. As Mayor Chavez mentioned, he is very nice to allow me to go to the Contract Cities board meetings. Just to update you, Jennifer from Norwalk will be leaving as president, and we'll be welcoming in Miss Brenda from Paramount. And I would just, since we're out here, I would like to, have staff, if we can prepare a certificate of thanks for her. Oh, Mike's not here. But yeah, just for her outgoing, for all the her leadership in that role. So that's pretty much my update. I don't know if my colleagues have any other.
I sit on 2 committees. The first committee I sit on is Gateways, one of the programs that they're going to be bringing to the city that I've talked about before, but want to give a little bit more information. It's called Empower Gateways. What it is that our residents would be able to get pre-owned EV incentives up to $4,000, also help with financing to get them into a used, clean vehicle. We all know that the pollution is awful where we live all across the 710, and so we're one of the cities that are next. Cudahy recently did it, and so now they're going to bring it to Bell Gardens. The other committee that I sit on is the JPA for our casino. I've constantly been updating you guys on the bill that passed that is endangering some of the games that we have at our casino, but recently Cudahy sent out a letter. They are no longer part of our JPA. The reason they are no longer part of our JPA is because that they were going to open up a casino in their city. That casino has opted not to move forward at this time. We don't know details other than they opted not to move forward at this time. And we still know that there's a declining of revenue monthly within our casino. So that's why I'm very cautious as to the money that's being spent. So those are the 2 updates for me.
Yes, so I have two updates that are somewhat important. The first one is for SIACA, which is our animal control agency. They're ongoing negotiations with the union, which is a big deal. Also, we're about to release an RFP to conduct an audit of the entire organization because of the increase in basically the cost of living, and that's part of the reason why also the unions are pretty involved at this moment. So with that RFP, we're going to be able to get more familiar with the current numbers and the fee structures of other similar organizations across the entire county. That way we're able to readjust as needed and maybe potentially do some modifications to the fee structure and whatnot. Another update is from Hub Cities, which is a career center. We successfully submitted our application for funding to receive funding from LA County. So I will keep you guys posted on how that goes. They still haven't released any decisions on that, but that's also very important in order to keep the organization running. And I'm also part of the vector control. I just attended my first meeting, so I will keep you informed in the meetings to come, and as well as sanitation district.
I have a brief update on from the meeting held on March 13th for Independent Cities Association. During the meeting, we reviewed financial reports following the previous seminar, and the board also discussed potential partnerships with USC's public policy program. So we hope that that could bring valuable academic insight and collaboration opportunities in the future. And lastly, we reviewed a little update on the upcoming summer seminars. So details are still being finalized, and I'll be sure to share more information as it becomes available.
Great. This is awesome. I think it went pretty well for the first time. You want to add anything? Oh, I thought you had. I think eventually, we'll get more used to it. But for the first time, I think it went good. The city manager and I were talking of how do we incorporate this. If any of each of us wants to share something that's happening in our own, we could do it individually. But here on the dais, it's more. We don't have to worry about the Brown Act, and we can just. Well, we do, but we're here in public, and that's better. The sort of engagement that we want. Want to make sure we're in line, and thankfully our legal counsel consistently keeps us in check, which is what we want. Well, with that said, I don't think we need to do any action for that. We could just move right along, and we'll go to item number 10. And City Manager, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Chavez. This item, we've got a 3-week break between this council meeting today and the first April council meeting, just the way the calendar falls. So this one a little bit lengthier than normal. Just want to mention, reminder on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. We have an open art studio. The mayor mentioned this. I think also Councilmember Barcena touched on it as part of the certificate proclamation that we gave. Open art studio at Veterans Park, Ross Hall, 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. On Friday, we continue to have our resident art and yard sale at Veterans Park between 11 and 3:30. On March 18th, we held our monthly rent stabilization tenant protection workshop for property owners. The next day, we held similar for the tenants. On Thursday, March 20th, Recreation Community Services held a financial literacy workshop with a focus on establishing and repairing credit. Tomorrow, Tuesday, March 25th, the police department has a neighborhood watch area meeting at Julia Asmus Park at 6 p.m. The following day on Wednesday, March 26th, we're hosting a mayor town hall meeting at Ross Hall. Come join the mayor, city manager, all the department heads at 6 p.m. The day after that, on Thursday, March 27th, we're hosting an immigration clinic with MABA, the Mexican American Bar Association, at Ross Hall at 5 p.m. This clinic's unique compared to the other workshops that we've had. It's not just general information. Attendees can discuss their specific immigration issues with an attorney privately. And just thanks to Stephanie Vasquez from AMLO and helping our director and Recreation Community Services set up that clinic. This weekend, also touching on arts, we'll have the third of 4 utility box murals painted. This one will include a skateboarder. It'll be over on Florence Place. We'll kind of allude to the skate park at Veterans Park. The week after that, we'll have the 4th mural painted. So looking forward to closing out the rollout of those murals and then moving on to the next part of that project. On Saturday, March 29th, Recreation Community Services is hosting an SCPGA Junior golf tournament at the BG Golf Course. I believe it's one of 6 or 7 that are happening this year to help further utilize the golf course and the amenity there. Monday, March 31st, so this is the Monday that's coming up, City Hall is closed in remembrance of Cesar Chavez Day. As always, thanks to the employees that'll still be working, that'll continue providing services to residents, businesses, stakeholders of the city, even though City Hall will be closed in remembrance of Cesar Chavez. On Tuesday, April 1st, we're hosting another immigration workshop at Ross Hall at 6 p.m. with Spirit Family Centers and participation of the Law Office of DJW. On Friday, April 4th, the Resident Art and Yard Sale will include the free farmers market. So that happens periodically. That won't be Friday, April 4th. So free food will be available in addition to normal Resident Art and Yard Sale. The next big city event on Saturday, April 12th at noon, we're hosting the 2025 Spring Festival, Earth Day, and the Recycled Clothing Fashion Show. So that'll be a busy day. That's coming up about 2 or 3 weekends from now. One of the bigger city events. Just want to mention a couple internal things that are going on in addition to tax reporting. Manuel Carrillo, our Director of Finance Admin Services and his group have been busy compiling the legally required financial statements that the city puts together on an annual basis. There's about 120 to 150 pages of required financial statements that slice and dice the information in a number of different ways. In addition to preparing the financial statements, coordinating a third-party auditor to go over all the financial statements and make sure that the information's accurate, and run Manuel and his group through the paces to make sure that internal controls are in place. It looks as though, as of now, we have another clean audit. Manuel will be bringing that item and the audited financial statements to the council at the April 14th meeting. So good news there. Manuel's group is also fast at work coordinating with all the departments to compile a draft budget for the upcoming fiscal year. We're already closing out the month of March. That leaves 3 months before the new fiscal year starts, 90 days. So we should be bringing a budget to council in about 70 days or so. This year, obviously, there'll be challenges. The last few meetings when we've given the council an update on revenues and mid-year budget adjustments, kind of mentioned about a cycle that occurs every so often. And if you haven't noticed already, just in the last 24 hours, I noticed in the city I live in, a $19 million shortfall in their budget. That's the city of Orange. Saw a news article about a $1 billion shortfall in the city of Los Angeles. I think you're going to start seeing a cascade of news coverage of shortfalls in cities in probably across the U.S., but definitely in Southern California. And that's something that we're dealing with and are managing, and that'll be the challenge that we have for the budget that's coming for next fiscal year. Also want to mention our Community Development Director position is vacant. The recruitment's open. It closes this week. We have John Ramirez, who spoke earlier as part of the public hearing. Here is the interim Community Development Director, so very thankful for his experience and insight in helping keep that department moving. We also have our city planner, took a promotion to another city as well, so we have an interim who also spoke earlier today as part of the presentation, Mona Mosaeb. So she's also serving as interim city planner, and I'm very thankful for the work that they're doing to keep things moving. There's a lot happening. And the last thing that I'll just say, just on tonight's consent calendar, there's several items of interest for residents, businesses, stakeholders of Bell Gardens, including a second reading for digital signature ordinance that was presented at last council, contract amendment for grant-funded environmental work that's being performed at the Shoal Street site, contract amendment for an architectural adjustment at the ongoing aquatic center site, an annual progress report that demonstrates to the state the progress made towards updating the components of the city's general plan. The consent calendar also includes a new agreement with LA County for continued leasing and services provided by the county over at the library building here on the City Hall property. And finally, just want to make note of an item. It's a purchase and installation of LED lighting at Darwell Park for increased security and visibility at night. That's been an issue that's brought up at neighborhood watch meetings and other council meetings in the past. So Public Works has done some work already, moving some wrought iron fencing to the front of the park so that it can be locked at night, as several of our other parks are, and then also installing this lighting, which should help for the security and visibility for the police department in case they're called for service from residents there at the park. With that, I'll thank you and turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you so much for the updates and your report, Mr. City Manager. There's definitely a lot of progress throughout the city and optimism for the future as well. With that said, we will move on to consent calendar. Does any member of the council successor agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? All right, seeing none, can I have a motion?
Move to approve items 11.1 through 11.11 of the consent calendar.
I'll second that. Can we get, we'll just do a quick, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. All right, moving on we're going to make a quick change here. I believe Councilmember Barcena has a request.
If we can please move up item 12.3, because we do have some people here that are interested in that item. Yeah.
Absolutely. If there's no objections, we'll do that change. All right, seeing none. All right, 12.3. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Chavez. This item is a consideration of adoption of a resolution denouncing institutionalized violence against youth and affirming the city's commitment to supporting programs that promote youth safety, well-being, and success. This item was spearheaded at the last council meeting by Councilmember Barcena and staff, along with the City Attorney's Office, worked to craft this resolution. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about this particular resolution and also turn over to Councilmember Barcena at this time as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a few comments about this resolution. The reason why this resolution is here is obviously because there is an issue in our institutional correction system. I was approached by a local pastor, Richard, who's here today, and he wanted to see someone speak up, right? Make their voice heard in regards to this injustice. And I said, let me know what you have in mind. And he suggested making a formal commitment to not only denounce the violence, which the Los Padrinos case is just a symptom of the underlying issue, right, that extends beyond the walls of that institution. And I, of course, was on board, but as you guys know, it's not just up to one council member. We represent the city collectively. Luckily, my colleagues seemed to be supportive when I brought it up at the last meeting, and then moved forward to creating a resolution that, you know, not only focuses on the negativity, but also acknowledges the efforts that the city proactively takes on day by day to prevent the violence in our communities, specifically with our youth. And that's why we have so many programs for our youth that allow them to learn how to communicate, that allow them to create connections and bonds with other members of our community. Because again, it takes a village, right, to raise a child and to make sure that they're successful and that they're productive members of our society. So I want to thank Pastor Richard for being an advocate and speaking out about this, and for giving me the opportunity to work on this, and also my colleagues for being open to hearing what we have to say about it. The resolution is self-explanatory. It denounces the violence, but it also makes a promise to our residents that we will continue to support programs that are going to secure the safety of our youth and give them the tools they need to succeed. So that's all I have to say about that. I hope I can count on your support.
Thank you so much for that, Councilman Barcena. Really appreciate you bringing this item forward, and obviously the folks in the public, all the work that's been done. I want to open it up for discussion, comments, clarifications from the council.
I mean, all I can say is I think I can speak on behalf of all of us. We're 100% on board with this. Thank you, Pastor, for coming these past few weeks to express your concerns. And as my colleague Marcos mentioned, you can count on us to stand up against these atrocious acts.
Yes, I also want to thank those that provided public comment. Gabby and Mario, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and share those deep and meaningful words with us. I always talk about civic engagement and how I want to see more of it, and today you guys made me happy. So thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking out against injustice.
Yeah, likewise, again, it's great to see former council members of our community coming forward and sharing the same consideration and support for an item like this. It speaks volume for our community that we're all in it together. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. I know both of you are very, very busy. So again, really appreciate you coming out and showing your support for this item. And if there's no more comments or points of clarification, I think we have it open for a motion.
If I can make a motion to adopt the resolution.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Barcena and a second by Councilwoman Guillen. And for this one, we'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Members of the Council and Successor Agency Barcena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa,
Yes.
and Mayor Chavez.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you for that. And we'll go ahead and sign this, well, probably after. Yeah, we'll go ahead and sign it, and we'll make sure to get the resolution. All right, moving back to the order. Yes, you're right. We're going to go ahead and take a quick 5-minute recess. Should be quick. I know staff's been sitting down for a while, so we'll be right back at 7:55. On the dot, 7:55. We're back.
One moment, please.
Take your time.
Mayor, we are live streaming now.
Thank you so much for that, City Clerk. We'll go ahead and go back to our regularly scheduled agenda with item 12.1, which is local commission appointments list. Any members of the council have any changes or wish to add anybody to that? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to, I believe, our final item, which is our legislative update. The city manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Chavez. This item is a legislative update from the League of Cities, also known as Cal Cities. We have Nicholas Cabeza here today to provide a presentation, talk a little bit about what League of Cities, Cal Cities does, and then talk about some of the bills that they're working on, support, opposition, and things of that nature. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Cabeza. He's got the clicker for the presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Awesome. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, City Manager, City staff. Really appreciate the invite. My name is Nicholas, and I serve as the Regional Public Affairs Manager here at Cal Cities within the Los Angeles County Division. So specifically, I have the privilege of working with cities in the gateway cities. That includes Long Beach all the way to Montebello. And I've had the opportunity to meet with a few of you one-on-one, so look forward to meeting with you all more, and I've had the chance to, experience some of the fine cuisine that you all have here in Bell Garden. So, looking forward to building that relationship with you all. But I'm here today to provide a high-level overview of Cal Cities, as well as provide an update on some of our legislative advocacy efforts. So, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. A little bit about the League of California Cities. It's been shaping the Golden State's political landscape since the association was founded back in 1898. And we defend and expand local control through advocacy efforts in the legislature, at the ballot box, in the courts, and through strategic outreach that informs and educates the public, policymakers, and opinion leaders. We have what's called regional public affairs managers throughout the state that engages with our members. In LA County, we have a total of 3 regional public affairs managers. So I cover, like I said earlier, gateway cities, which includes City of Bell Gardens. The Los Angeles County Division is comprised of 86 cities within Los Angeles County and is led by more than 550 elected officials. So one of the biggest counties throughout the division here at Cal Cities. Every year, the statewide association adopts advocacy priorities that guides our legislative efforts. So this year, we're focused on advancing legislation that protects local revenues, on expanding economic development tools. So this is all about how to diversify revenue streams. Another goal is around strengthening climate change resiliency and disaster preparedness. So this is very important, especially given the wildfires, and especially as it relates to leveraging Prop 4 funding that the voters passed. So we're really engaged in that. Another goal is around strengthening and modernizing critical infrastructure. And lastly, securing investments to prevent and reduce homelessness and increase the supply of affordable housing. So those are our 4 pillars for the year in which we engage in legislatively. But also we have what's called the Los Angeles County Division, who also adopts specific strategic priorities. Very similar, but I would highlight goal number 1, which is focused on improving public safety and addressing a lot of the law enforcement challenges, such as retail theft, public safety, fentanyl. So LA County Division is really engaged in that space as well. Wanted to kind of provide you with some updates relative to the state budget and let you all know kind of what Cal Cities is doing in terms of advocacy on city's behalf. So just a quick preview around this year's state budget related to homelessness. This year's state budget does not include any new funding to address homelessness, which is very concerning. What the governor's proposed budget does include is the creation of a new housing and homelessness agency, which essentially reorganizes a lot of the homeless services and moves them to a new housing and homeless agency to better create statewide strategies to address this issue. So that's kind of forthcoming. But in terms of kind of what Cal Cities is doing To address this effort, we recently joined forces with a fantastic coalition representing the Big City Mayors, the State Association of Counties, and the Bring California Home Coalition, which includes, affordable housing advocates and homeless services providers. So we all joined together to call for another round of this critical homelessness funding and to advocate for ongoing permanent funding to prevent and reduce homelessness. So this is a huge priority for this legislative session as the governor, continues, as the governor and the
Sorry, 1 second. We're having some sounds like vibration.
All right, I think we can continue. We're good. Sounds like it's staticky, but it's not. Yeah.
Sounds good now.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Perfect.
Oh, now we got a neck.
Awesome. Okay. So as I was mentioning earlier, Cal Cities is really engaged in this issue and making sure that the legislature really understands the importance of investing in this issue. So we are continuing to advocate this to our legislature, to the governor, and we have a template letter in case Bell Gardens is also interested in being a part of this coalition and engaging. A little bit more on some of our additional advocacy efforts is related to affordable housing and public safety. So the governor's budget does not include ongoing funding for key affordable housing programs that cities rely on, including multifamily housing program, adaptive reuse program, foreclosure intervention, housing prevention program. So we're really engaged in making sure that the legislature funds those programs. Also, the governor's budget proposal does not include any major investments toward reducing retail theft, fentanyl, or other related issues. So we're working with the legislature on advocating for the inclusion of these important programs and funding relative to housing and public safety. But on that, I wanted to personally invite you all to attend one of our public safety related events on April 10th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Association of Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs in Monterey Park for a forum on the implementation of Prop 36. So the discussion is really going to focus on how local agencies are navigating the new law. So we have some panelists, as you can see, the District Attorney Nathan Hockman, LA County Sheriff, and a few others from Northern California. Kind of pivoting to some of our sponsored legislation. So each year, Cal Cities partners with lawmakers to sponsor legislation that will further Cal Cities advocacy priorities and organizational priorities. So one of them being homelessness. So one bill that I wanted to bring to your attention that Cal Cities sponsored is SB 569, and Cal Cities is co-sponsoring this with the City of San Diego, and really the intent here is to increase communication between the Department of Transportation, Caltrans, and local governments to address encampments on state property. So specifically what this bill does is it requires Caltrans to collaboratively develop encampment resolution plans with local governments in each of its 12 administrative districts. So we're hearing a lot from cities that they're having a hard time coordinating with Caltrans for homelessness encampments, making it very challenging to address those issues and provide the services needed. So this bill really helps identify those plans, put specific benchmarks as to and expectations as to what services are provided, provides timelines, and that's, like I said, all in collaboration with local jurisdictions. So that's one bill that we are really engaged in this year. Another one is relative to water, and this is SB 454. This would establish a statewide PFAS mitigation fund intended to help local water agencies, including cities, leverage funding to help pay for cleanup of mandated PFAS contamination in drinking water and wastewater. So these are synthetic chemicals used for their stain and water resistant and non-stick properties. And while local agencies are not responsible, for the development of these products and subsequent contamination, the cost of treating these contamination falls disproportionately, on customers' water bills. So what SB 454 would do is it would create this special state fund to help local agencies clean up this toxic PFAS in water and wastewater systems. The fund would be managed by the State Water Resources Control Board and be used by drinking water agencies and other local jurisdictions to help remove the widespread toxic chemical from water supplies. So the proposal authorizes the State Water Resources Control Board to seek state, federal, and private dollars for the fund, which could provide water suppliers and wastewater operators with grants and loans to address that. So wanted to bring that to your attention. Another one is SB 346, a bill by Senator Durazo. So as you know, short-term rentals are regulated exclusively at the local level via the adoption of an ordinance, and in some instances, ordinances limit the number of short-term rentals within a community, or some ordinances may ban short-term rentals entirely. What this measure really is designed to do is it would provide local governments with more effective tools to really enforce their local ordinances against unlicensed short-term rentals and ensure that cities are receiving the correct amount of TOT. It's a special tax that cities get for short-term rentals, and it would provide cities specifically with the assessor parcel number for each short-term rental listed on the rental properties platform. So it would require the different platforms to include the assessor parcel number so that cities, it's transparent to cities. Also, what this proposal would do, would provide full audit authority of TOT dollars. So these changes would ensure the correct amount of TOTs being collected and remitted and allow for more efficient enforcement against unlicensed units. So this is especially important, as we gear up for the Olympics. We want to make sure that cities are receiving the correct amount of TOT. Another bill related to disasters, AB 262. So this bill hasn't been amended yet to include the language that we are seeking, but the intent is to authorize the California Office of Emergency Services to prioritize California disaster assistance funding for communities that are not eligible for federal FEMA funding. So currently, the federal minimum damage threshold under FEMA for California disasters is $72 million. And the intent here is really to prioritize state funding to communities where the damages do not exceed $72 million to ensure that resources are adequately available for those communities in the case that it doesn't reach that threshold, but there's still that disaster and need for funding. A bill relative to the Brown Act that we are co-sponsoring with counties is SB 239, and this would modernize the Brown Act and allow non-decision-making advisory roles to meet remotely without posting their locations or making that location available to the public. So just wanted to underline the non-decision-making part of that, because these can be too restrictive, and we hear from cities that they're struggling to fill these roles, and they often find it challenging that they have to abide by the same regulations as council members and elected officials. So the proposal would really improve participation of these advisory bodies by allowing them to establish a quorum more easily and help cities recruit and retain more active members. A bill relative to planning and zoning, AB 650, is intended to improve the housing element review process. We all love that process, right? The proposal would allow local jurisdictions to begin the housing element update 6 months earlier than what is required under existing law. And this will happen by having the Department of Housing and Community Development give your regional housing needs allocation number 6 months earlier than existing law. So this really incentivizes local jurisdictions to submit their draft housing element to HCD 180 days sooner and require HCD to provide written communication that identifies deficiencies in the draft and to resolve complex disputes more efficiently and more timely to get that all situated. A fun bill relative to murals, and this is perfect for the arts, culture, and creativity month that you all celebrated earlier, is SB 456 relative to murals. So currently, muralists fall within the definition of a contractor. And as a result, muralists must carry a contractor's license if they undertake a mural on a building for more than $500. So city staff may be fined for knowingly hiring an unlicensed muralist. And muralists must accumulate, 4 years of specialized experience under a licensed contractor, pass the law and business examination, and pay annual licensing fees. So Cal Cities really feels that these requirements, create unnecessary barriers to work on, these public art projects that really enhance the community, all of the great things that you had mentioned earlier. So what this bill would do is it would exempt muralists from having to obtain a contractor's license through California State Licensing Board, being commissioned for public and private art projects. So wanted to bring that to your attention. The last two bills fall within Transportation, Communities, and Public Works portfolio, and that's SB 74. This seeks to establish an infrastructure gap funding program to provide much needed grants to local agencies for the development and construction of critical infrastructure projects. So many local governments, as you know, struggle to fund essential projects due to financial constraints, making it difficult to meet the demands of your residents and community. So this proposal, what it'll do is it'll help bridge this funding gap by offering grants up to 20% of necessary remaining funding to support specific infrastructure projects, such as roads, bridges, water systems, and other vital infrastructure, including broadband, fire stations, health and safety improvements. I was trying to see if it included any aspects for pool or aquatics. Doesn't have that language in there, but we can talk more about that later. And then lastly, AB 476. This is related to copper theft. So what AB 476 does is it enhances enforcement measures against copper wire theft. So copper wire theft has become a widespread and costly issue, severely impacting critical infrastructure such as street lights, fire hydrants and fire department connections, electric vehicle charging stations. So thieves are targeting these public assets due to the high value of copper, leaving behind significant damage to public infrastructure. So AB 476 would reduce copper wire theft through new reporting and licensing requirements. So similar to these scrap metal, the catalytic converters requirements that the legislature passed last year, just holding these scrap metal sellers more accountable in terms of where they're getting that from. But that kind of concludes our sponsored bills. I wanted to remind you all that Cal Cities hosts a City Leaders Summit in April, and it's taking place April 23rd to 25th, and that's an opportunity where we bring our members to Sacramento and chat more about the importance of investing in cities, talk about local issues, and I believe Mayor Chavez is registered, so thanks for being a voice for the city of Bell Gardens, but wanted to let you all know that that's taking place. And as your regional public affairs manager, I'm really here to be a resource, to serve as a resource. So if there's ever an issue that you want to dive more into relative to a specific subject area, whether that's public safety, community development, infrastructure, open space, please feel free to reach out. I could definitely target a more specific presentation, let you know about resources, provide different updates. We have lobbyists on various issues who are subject matter experts in all of these different areas. Happy to also bring them in. Another resource that Cal Cities offers is if you ever want to kind of bring in folks and chat about like a regional issue and highlight that to our respective state assembly members and senators. Cal Cities can certainly be a convener in that. So kind of keep that in mind if there's ever legislative matters that City of Bell Gardens wants to elevate to your respective assembly members and senators. Feel free to use Cal Cities as a resource. Also, if you ever want to kind of have a better understanding of what other cities are doing relative to these issues, I have colleagues throughout the state of California, so feel free to kind of rely on Cal Cities to have that dialogue. We have tons of different workshops. You may have seen in my emails, so feel free to engage in those webinars, those open dialogues, and there is my contact information. So if you ever need any assistance kind of diving into a deeper bill, please feel free to let me know. I'll conclude by saying the bills that I mentioned earlier were all sponsored bills, so Cal Cities is kind of taking the lead on that. And we would really appreciate City of Bell Gardens' support on any of those proposals if it aligns with your policy platform. We have sample support letters that makes it super easy for cities to engage legislatively. And I can, if there's interest in any particular bill, I can send you draft sample support letters. And it's super easy for the team to get Bell Gardens support on all of those policy issues. So with that, happy to answer any questions or anything else.
Thank you so much for that, Nick. Really appreciate you taking the time and presenting. I want to open it up for council discussion, questions. If anybody has a question about the presentation or any questions in general about Cal Cities.
I just want to share my appreciation for you to come present. I know there's a lot of resources out there that we may not be aware of, but thank you for coming, presenting phase, and introducing yourself.
Thank you, Nicholas. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for the thorough overview of the current bills that are in the process. But I wanted to ask you, how soon do you see these bills becoming implemented, or are most of these already like in place? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a little bit more about kind of where we are in the legislative process. Right now, we're in the very early stages. So these bills have barely been introduced. Usually bills get introduced around January, February. Around March and April, that's when bills really go through the legislative committee process, and that's where we rely a lot on our cities to help and support with our advocacy efforts. So that's where these sample support letters really come into play and are very valuable, because these bills are going to go through committees, may potentially change, and we really need that that support to kind of get it through the finish line. So right now, these bills have been introduced. These bills are making the way through various committees, and once they kind of make their way through committees, it'll go to a floor vote in that respective an assembly or Senate House, and then it'll kind of repeat the process. It'll ultimately be, if that bill kind of makes it forward, it'll be given to the governor for consideration around September, October, and that's when we also do another advocacy push. So if there's any opportunities to engage, we would certainly appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. I had a couple of points, and some of these are very interesting. I'm always interested in, it's an interesting position being in Bell Gardens and consistently hearing from what other cities are engaging or dealing with, right? The issues of Bell Gardens in Southeast LA, for the most part, tend to, have a similar trend, but, you go to the west side, or you go to, the peninsula out here in LA, and it's a completely different ballgame in terms of what each city is advocating for. For example, SB 454, a PFAS mitigation fund. I mean, that's a really good one, right? This is something that consistently our city is in talks about with our water system. So this is something that I would love to see our city support and send a letter. There's a couple other ones. I know that maybe some of these aren't SB 546. That's the mirrorless exempt. I know here in our council we're very passionate about arts, and as you mentioned, this would be a great one for us to also put in our name in the hat. So I'm excited to see these, and I'm just happy that we're able to be consistently updated and have you come out and present and share with us these updates. And what I would say is after the session, or wherever we are in the session throughout the year, that you come back and kind of update us again. What happened? What didn't? What went through? And ultimately, what was the final? What actually made it through both chambers?
Yep. Happy to also do that, around budget negotiations and as the budget kind of conversation continues.
Got it.
And you don't have to answer this right now, but I'm curious on the stance of the league for Assembly Bill 1468 having to deal with ethnic studies. I know that's more of educational base, but I know that there's a lot of controversy with it, so I don't know if you guys had a stance on that or not.
Not too familiar with that bill. I'll have to definitely look into it. But is it more so like on the curriculum side?
Yes, it is on the curriculum side,
okay.
definitely.
So I would say generally CalCities doesn't necessarily engage in curriculum-based policies. I know California School Boards Association. They're the association who represents school board members and schools. So they would be the player in that space. So I would probably say we don't have any position on that bill if it's relative to curriculum.
Yeah,
but we do understand the need and challenge there, and we're definitely interested in making sure that residents have resources around especially around undocumented services and whatnot. So definitely want to be a partner in that space.
Yeah, there's a lot of elected officials that are educators within SELA that have been talking about this, and so that's why I was just wondering if you guys were aware or had a stance. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
I'd be interested in seeing that as well, especially just how it is, the dialogue nationally and the conversation around the attacks on programming like DEI, et cetera. So that'd be interested to see if CalCities were to take a position.
We do have diversity caucuses, so perhaps they're more plugged in and on those types of issues. So definitely can check on that and report back.
Great. All right. Well, if there's no more comments or points of clarification or questions, I just want to say thank you so much, Nicholas, for the time and for you coming out to speak to us.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, with that said, we will go ahead and move on to our final item, which is the council member comments. And we'll go ahead and begin with Council Member Marco Barcena.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone that came to today's meeting. I appreciate the support from our residents and also from the council. There's a lot of exciting things coming up. The Spring Festival is going to be awesome. We're going to have, as the city manager already mentioned, but I'm just echoing because I'm excited about it. We're going to have a recycled fashion show at the Spring Festival. So if you guys know anyone that's into like fashion design or that likes to sew or make clothing, this is a perfect way to have their garments modeled. We're gonna have some volunteers who are gonna be our models as well. So please get involved. I invite you guys. I'm gonna do whatever I can to sign as many people up as possible. And after that we have the skate jam and we have like a bunch of really, really cool events. So looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you to staff for all the hard work that you do. And thank you for a great meeting today. That's all.
Councilwoman Guillen.
So first and foremost, thank you, staff, for all your hard work. Thank you, Mayor, for putting in the committee updates. That was great. And I think you summed it all up regarding the arts. And yeah, have a good night. Thank you.
Councilwoman De Leon Sanchez.
Just want to congratulate the girls volleyball team once again, and also the coach, it being his 20th year, and just making history. I know that's a big deal for them, and I'm always here to support. Also, to Lee Esquire, thank you for the rose. We will not forget to put it at the base of the flagpole at the end of this meeting. I'd also like to ask staff if they could please take into consideration from this point forward, when we are developing DAs, that we do the 60-day contingent moving forward from this point forward, any DAs that we have. I thought I made that clear last time, but I just want to make sure that from this point forward, we are doing that. And thank you, staff, once again, for all your hard work.
Mayor, if I may, I want to make a comment. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the desire coming from Councilmember Guillen to get more benefits for our community. I think it comes from the right place. And if I didn't think it could maybe make things longer, a little bit more complicated, I would have been on board with it. But unfortunately, I do feel like we're a little bit late, and I didn't have a chance to voice my opinion on that. But I think it comes from the right place. I think there will be opportunities for all of us to really fight to get as much as we can for our community, because that's exactly what Council Member De Leon Sanchez and the rest of the council at that time did. Hence the $100,000 and this and that. But I do appreciate it, and thank you.
Thank you for that, Councilwoman Sanchez and Councilmember Barcena. Mayor Pro Tem De La Rosa.
Thank you so much to my colleagues and staff. Also echoing Councilmember Barcena's comment, yeah, my point of view was also in the same space. Given the context and the timeline, hence that's why I made that decision there. But yeah, other than that, I want to thank Mr. Lee Squire, thank him for his service, and thank you to everyone who participated in today's meeting, and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you for that, Mayor Pro Tem De La Rosa. For my comments, it's been a productive meeting. I'm looking at the time, 8:30. I want to thank everybody, the staff, for consistently all the amazing work that you do. Thank you to our city manager, as always, keeping our city in the right direction. I don't know if he shared this part, maybe he might have in the city manager report, about the numbers that came back from the casino, which are heading in a right direction. I know that's consistently something, but let's not get our hopes up all the way, right? But there's a positive. It's going in the right direction, so we're excited. At least I'm shooting for the stars. I'm optimistic about the situation. So what's so funny?
I know you're excited because you can do more, right? If we have full funding.
The what?
I'm saying that, yeah, we're obviously all excited because we can do more with more funding,
Well,
but I appreciate the optimism that you display. That's why
I feel like Manuel and city manager consistently see numbers, and some of these numbers sometimes haven't been coming back positive, right? And we've had the last couple of budget presentations with expectations that we're going to have a $4 million shortfall, and the numbers came back for February, and we're upwards of 60,000 projected of where we were supposed to be, right? So that's exciting. So that's in that limelight, I'm trying to be optimistic.
We were all sweating it, so. Yeah.
What was that?
We were all sweating it. We're still sweating it. We're always sweating for our residents.
I understand. Yeah,
That sounds weird.
we work with what we got, right? We work with what we got, and I know there was a moment where we had the development agreement conversation about getting community benefits, and I was kind of serious about getting those $14 million that we need for that pool, right? And I didn't hear a no, so we'll see. Maybe.
Mayor, that's why I said it's laughable, but it's not. It's the reality, right?
Yeah.
All about perspective.
We'll call the pool the Mecca Aquatic Center for all we know. I don't know. It's just, $14 million. Where are you gonna find that, right? Nowadays, everything's getting cut from the top to the bottom, literally in the federal government. I heard the Department of Education might not even exist, which is crazy. So, anyways, with that said, again, just want to thank City Manager for the amazing work. Thank you to all of our department heads, City Clerk as well. And I do have one request that came in, and it's regarding, it was a conversation that was had in the previous year in regarding with the Mexican consulate, right? El Consulado sobre Ruedas, the consulate on wheels. And, they really want to set up shop here in the city of Bell Gardens. Like they're very persistent about it. They reached out and they have specific criteria, right, of what they're looking for and how they can get this operated. It's about a month to 2 month process that they want to be here, like 4 to 8 weeks. And they're looking for a space that's about 2,000 square feet. It's secure, obviously, you know, it's safe and it's secure. Has internet connection up to 20 megabytes. They even went down to the specificity about internet speed. 20 megabytes, electrical connections up to 12 power outlets. You know, furniture, 10 tables, 6 by 2 feet and 40 chairs. Parking for availability for up to 30 vehicles. Restrooms, adequate restrooms, safety regulations, and then finally early access, opening time at 9 a.m. Right, so they're trying to really set up presence here in Bell Gardens, in Southeast Los Angeles. I believe they've been in the past in Huntington Park or in Walnut Park, and they're trying to set up shop. So I figured I'd bring this up. I would ask if possible. I know staff is very, you know, we're in terms of bandwidth, it's difficult, but I would encourage that, you know, we try to find a space for the Mexican consulate to come out. You know, I'm looking at March. I mean, I'm obviously by the end of this month, we're practically already at the end of the month, but maybe something like in maybe early June, right? That's 2.5 months or so, if we can find something. We do, obviously here in the community of Bell Gardens, we have a lot of Mexicans. With that said, I would ask that if we can do some work in regards to this specific item. So with that said, that does conclude my comments, I just want to say thank you for a productive meeting. If there's no more comments or questions or points, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 8:34 p.m.